the God versus the devil, hood version. Now, the real thing that you have to understand about this is a reoccurring two characters. God is the character in my character profile videos, and so is the devil. And the devil is one of my favorite characters. God is obviously better, but the topic of the devil is more serious to me because of the devil being able to do a piece of what God can do, but make it seem like he's God himself, is the devil's specialty. And this is something I want to say. These are two versions of me that I want people to understand. This is when I first achieved fame, and this is when nobody could tell me wrong. Society couldn't tell me wrong, everything. So the second version I want to tell people is, this is who I am now. So I'm going to put that example as God. And the person I was, the hyperbolic time trader, before anything happened, was the group home, was the devil. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with, how can me at the group home be a devil when I just told off some little kids? Because I left room for gaslighting. The thing that devil is very, very good at is gaslighting. So basically, there was this thing at the group home that I told myself after I got everything, after I lost my virginity, and after I beat myself up because I realized how easy it was, because I realized that the women I was getting were not intellectual, they're only attracted to shiny things and literally dumb wordplay that can only work on girls who smoke weed all day, that literally have no life, that think they have lives when really their lives are a whole bunch of guys trying to get in their pants. And just because I'm different, I'm able to get them. And what gave me the huge edge in getting women was the ARL. What separated me from every other guy is that I was analytical due to being an anime fan. So I would use words that no other hood guy would use. And I would be able to pull the girls that the hood guys would hate because they could never get in their pants. There was this thing where on Snapchat where I could literally get blocked by the same girl over and over and over again, but every time I would get blocked, I would come back and say different shit. When these guys got blocked, they had a way longer block list, and they couldn't get as nearly as much. The girls would corroborate, literally. It got to a point where the girls would block me for non-sexual reasons, when they used to block me for sexual reasons. And then it got to a point where literally they would accept every fucking thing. They would accept a dick pic after they already blocked me. They would accept other shit when they already blocked me because I would just hit work undeniable wordplay and literally, and I was able to do it in a hood nigga fashion. But the whole fucking crazy shit about that is, the craziest shit about that is the rappers that I was working for literally wanted to know, how the fuck did I do it? How the fuck do I literally control these women to a point where they can't get me? Because of, I already know that they like me. And I put emphasis on that, like, hold up, bitch, get back here. Literally, after they've given me consent and they try to pull back, I'm like, hold up, I know you like that shit, I'm not gonna stop. And literally, over and over again, like, just being terrified by my wordplay. Now, how does this tie in? Is I learned that I was running away from something, even though I was succeeding at getting the interest, even though they're accepting me back over and over again. What woke me up was God telling me, you see how she accepted all this after you put her pussy through torment, after you literally used wordplay that forced her to submit to you, after you literally came back to her over and over again and was so aggressive, but was so strategic about how you were aggressive. And guess what happened? When she blocked you for good, when she literally blocked you for no good reason at all, is when you did something non-sexual, is when you called out that she had no personality. And that's what happened with this one girl. This one girl I was blocking over and over again, and it didn't matter. And this was literally the same girl who I sent the nude to. She's like, why you send nudes for free? After blocking me like 3 times. And then, because the first time she blocked me is when she got roasted, literally. So I was roasting her, and I was giving her sexual content, I was getting everything. So literally, the last and final time that I will add her, and the last time that she blocked me was this, is when I tried to talk to her like a normal person, because she was trying to get me to entertain her. She had the advantage while she had me, but because I played it cool is how I got her. Here's what happened, literally. I literally started talking to her about, did you used to dance? Because she comes from the same era as Rods, and she was way older than me. And I asked her if she used to dance. And literally, and she's like, oh no, I didn't dance like that, and this and that. So I tried talking to her about shows on Netflix, and literally, she only recommended Lucifer, and she didn't want to talk at all. She wanted me to do that push and pull shit like I was doing with all those other blocked accounts, and I was tired of doing that. I actually wanted to get to know her, and when I finally wanted to get to know her, guess what happened? I joked around like, Sai, why is your personality so dry? And she blocked me because of that. All this other sexual shit, all this life-threatening shit that I was texting her, and literally, when I just asked for her personality is when she dipped. And that's when God said, these aren't the right girls. You have the advantage because these girls don't have a brain. And here's what literally happened, man. So here's a thing that God has that the devil doesn't. God is like, okay, you know you're doing something wrong and you're running away from it, but you're successful because you're being clever about how you're running away from it. And then I learned that, you know what? How I learned from the devil's mistake is I learned to not do it at all. Things got cleared up to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that at all, because one, that's me admitting that I'm wrong. That's me taking advantage of somebody who's obviously not as mentally strong as me. So I literally have to stop doing that dumb shit and just literally just stay out the way. Just keep it out the void. Because of that very reason, no matter how good I was on fooling these women, where it came down to the fact where I really looked for a true personality after all that time, it was literally too late, and I already implanted the sexual flag in that girl, and I couldn't get anything out of that girl again. And see, literally, if she didn't have her precious dancing monkey, literally, it was nothing. And guess what? I didn't get sex out of that girl. I didn't get anything out of that girl because I thought I was fooling myself, but in reality, I was taking advantage of a situation where I had to lead in, and that is no way to be a winner. And because after group home, this is another thing that I have to show you. This is gonna be a very long video, but after group home, I was very, intelligent to a point where I could even catch Rods off guard and tell of street smarts. I can pull girls that Rods couldn't. There was literally this time that I was trying to tell Rods, like, literally, and the difference between me and him, if you don't know, is I'm not a sucker for big ass and tits, and Rods can't get away with as nearly as nuts girl shit as I could back in the day. And it got to a point where I couldn't run anymore, to the point where I had to say stop. And you know what? And that's why God was there every time. And literally, what saved me was the fact that I wanted to be a good person my whole life. So another hole in the group home was, I'm not getting paid. I'm not famous. The best thing that society did was they picked on me like, okay, Eric, she finally made it to level 1. So literally, so here's what I told myself after I learned female nature. Okay, so you finally lost your virginity. Whoopee, the baby finally got his bottle. Now what are you gonna do with your life? Because what society told me is literally what God told me. It's like empty. Ha ha ha. So you know, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not the feeling. It's the situation it put you in after. It was literally, so God's telling me, oh, okay, of course, if everybody was getting laid, of course you'd be happy. You're the SpongeBob of work for a reason. If everybody was getting laid, of course they would be happy all the time. But what if things weren't going your way, like it was in high school? You'd be dreadful, you'd be suicidal, you'd be doing all that, huh? You're literally having something that would make anyone happy, and then God told me that requires no character. Having character is when nothing is going your way and you're still able to fight it. God was there, so God is older than me now, so what I was doing is I was taking slow steps that I wasn't doing back when I was in high school. So everybody was telling me, don't make those AMVs with colors, don't make them more all the special effects, literally. Just master the clips and literally be selective with what you're doing. Make it a little bit more animated. Stop relying on special effects to get in the way of the story you're trying to tell through the AMV. And I learned from that tremendously, and I did over and over again. But still, the fact remains, if I would stay in school for graphic and design, I would have been able to get money off the shit that I was making. And that's the real thing. Literally, I was so unprofessional, but I was so professional because of my grind. It was the point where the people that were literally making music for me, here's the thing. So here's the thing when I was at the group home. This is Easter egg. When I was at the group home, these rappers would make songs specifically for me and make AMVs for. And if they made a music video before I can make an AMV, I couldn't make the AMV. But if they made a song specifically referencing something I just did, I had to make the AMV right away. And they would give me credit. Sometimes they would give me money, but most of the time they would give me credit. When credit back then was way better than money, because I realized what they had and what I didn't. And I realized the advantages I had that the rappers didn't. And the crazy thing is, they wanted to put my AMVs online, but then they went up and they're like, we do not own the clips to your show. We need to do something else. And literally, it was crazy because all the shit that I was doing had the hole in it. You didn't graduate college. It doesn't matter if you have all this fame. And I was getting all this women. Oh, you didn't get a single girl in high school. It's too late for you to want a woman. And that's why a lot of people were making fun of me. A lot of people are like, haha, that's why he's by himself. Easy come, easy go. He doesn't have no relationship, does he? And that's why he keeps on getting more hood rats with girls that aren't really worth nothing, and that's why he's only having sex for one night stands, and the other guys can have sex consistently in relationships. And I realized the power of what relationships were after they kept on leaving me after fucking and dipping. God and the devil was in my head. Ah ha 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 ha, you're a group home, this and that. And so when I got older, I realized that all that is a hunk of shit, because I had a foundation of truth that was literally surrounded by a barrier of lies that I could not break through until I got older, until I realized that most people were full of shit and most people had it even worse than me. Now when I got older, I realized that even more rappers got kicked out of even more group homes for stupider reasons. When I got kicked out of a group home, it was for good reasons only. And I realized that because I used to be a nerd, and they stayed being a hood nigga their entire life. But that doesn't change the fact that at the time, I felt like I was really behind. I was still in the group home. I'm not fooling no one. I couldn't pull a single girl in high school, but all of a sudden, this and that. So literally, this girl that was literally, I hated throughout the entire time in the group home. The only reason why I hated is because I knew that she was trying to tell me to step my game up, get a car, get a job, get this and that, when she is thirsting over my dick 24/7. And it happened to the point where I'm like, why does it fucking matter? It's because society is going to back up her statement. Just like the motherfucking Lisa shit, it doesn't matter if she literally makes a screenshot of her cleavage, and literally she's like, why screenshot my cleavage? I'm like, why are you advertising your tits? It doesn't matter if I caught her in a lie. Society will back up her statement. You're a fucking creepo for snapshotting that. Oh, she did it on purpose. But there's no way I can capture it on paper, right? And this is what nerds, and this is what everyone has to get through their mind. So God is there, but literally he's like, you know what? You need to learn from that. You need to learn that she's gonna catch you on paper. So you need to play Mr. Gentleman and catch her in the trap, just like you did the other girl. Is what God is there for. So God is literally, metaphorically, the me now, not fucking with any of that shit, not fucking with any hood bitch. I haven't fucked with a single hood bitch the entire since the year Bader, because I realized they were all dumb and they were all about loving hip hop, and they all shared the same mentality as Ali used to share in junior high, and I'm like, fuck that. So basically the holes were leaking over and over and over again at the group home because I wasn't working out consistently. Even though I was preaching to those little kids that I work out more than them because I'm struggling. Literally, I wasn't fooling no one. I had a flaky six-pack. I was fat most of the time, but I was losing weight because I was struggling. Literally, the situation is what molded me, not me as a person. And that's why it was the devil. The devil put me in a situation I had the advantage over most people because I was actually struggling. But God took me to the hood one time where I was literally a more independent group home where they find you a job, where they do everything for you. And so I went to the biggest depths of the hood and I saw a crackhead, and that was the first time I believed that zombies were real. I saw people smoking crack in the streets. I saw everything. I'm like, oh my God, I got scared shitless. And literally, God's like, this is what the real hood is like. Imagine living at this every single day. And there was this fat guy that was there that reminded me a whole lot of Uncle Jay that was at the group home, and he was in and out, and he told me, he's like, you still think like a child, and that's why you think like one. So at the group home, I was able to roast my mom, I was able to roast the housekeeper, and then it got to a point where I was roasting my mom over and over and over again, like, oh, this and that, and my mom was literally crying, but guess what? She had the house, she had the foundation, she had everything, and I realized that roasting doesn't mean anything. And so I told my mom, when I finally became more of a God level, that I tried to tell my mom this. I'm like, you know what, Mom? I finally realized that the shit that I was looking for is petty because I finally learned how to cat back. But once I realized that you made me struggle to survive, I realized it doesn't matter if I can come back. I will literally not have a place to live if I keep fucking with you. And literally, so it doesn't fucking matter. Literally, and that's when I realized what was important versus what wasn't. It's literally, and so God was there and God told me the full truth. And I kept on roasting the housekeeper over and over and over again because the housekeeper, like, literally lost a couple of fingers since he kept on telling me, you fucking lazy bum, go get a job. And I'm like, ha ha ha, how do I end up with you with losing fingers? Now that is a fucking roast. No way around it. It's a fucking roast, Lily. I know my dick's bigger than your baby daddy's, Lily, but who has the house? That is why you can't let a roast get in the way of the situation. And that's why I had the devil on my side. Whenever I was roasting, whenever I was acting like a little kid, it didn't matter if I had a good comeback. She still has the house. I'm getting money from the government. I'm fooling my fucking self no matter which way you fucking break it. I'm finally able to do what I couldn't do as a teenager, and I'm embracing it instead of moving on. But you know what? As I got older, I realized that's not humanly passable. I'm glad things went my way for a year because after that 1 year, I said, fuck it, and I got a job. Because I literally, it got to a point where, yeah, that's why anti was only right in the eyes of society if you don't tell the full story. Because the end result is I beat his ass. I was a barbarian and he still had income. That's literally after I beat his ass. He's like, yeah, well, you still don't do nothing good for yourself. You literally don't do this and that. And literally, you don't have a job. You don't have this and that. But his face is covered in blood. And literally, so when I got older, I realized he used a technique where society is going to back up his statement. So you have to be him at his own game. And that's why I got a job. Literally, a month after I whooped his ass is when I got my first job. Without a temp agency, without doing none of that dumb shit. But that's still, the devil's principle is doing that, this and that. Even though there are 1,000 people that are more petty than me, this was so fucking crazy because as I learned that I wasn't the biggest hit nigga because Raj was there to humble me. So I thought I was big shit. So when I faced Raj, so I was equal to Ben. After a hyperbolic time chamber, I squared up with Ben and I was equal to him in everything. In terms of arm wrestling, in terms of hooks, in terms of literally dodging and mayhem. So I learned a whole lot that I've improved everything from junior high. And Ben is a top tier gang member. And how you know he's a top tier gang member is there was this guy that stole my iPod back when I was in high school. And so Ben showed me a video of him when he fought the guy that I couldn't fight when I was in high school because he could literally bitch more than I could. And I tried doing the same thing he did at the gym and I couldn't do it back when I was chilling in somebody's backyard, not when it was at the actual gym. So literally, so I knew that I stepped up my level of game, but literally the shit that I grew up in is a square city. It's literally a city for nerds that think that they're gangster. So literally, so I got schooled by a real gangster named Raj, and literally that always put me on my toes, and I literally did not literally know how much I was depriving myself. But at the same time, it got to a point where I admitted I was wrong, and that's when I started to get a little bit closer to God. So literally, so I sent this one message to my friend, and this was when I thought I was doing wrong, but I was doing right. So I sent this message to my friend. I'm talking about everything I'm doing. And I said, I'm happy making my AMVs. I can make my AMVs for a whole lifetime, and I will not get bored. And I can literally sit in my house all day and make AMVs because I'm getting appraisal for stuff that I was never getting appraisal from in high school. And so I texted this, even though I'm happy making my AMVs, I'm eventually going to have to fit into society. And so literally, he stood back because that guy was hella cool with me. That was an anime rapper, by the way. And literally, that shit was so fucking nasty because he said, are you okay? Because what he did was, he's like, you have a soul and society doesn't give a fuck about a soul. Literally, society just wants to know if you fit the criteria. If your Facebook doesn't say in a relationship or where you're working, you are a piece of shit in society. And he was real. And so there was this one time where he's like, well, I got bored of your text messages. I know. So he told me to roll with the toxic masculinity, do not get lazy, and get at it. So I realized at the time chamber that some things aren't worth it, but what they're trying to get through to me is that you have to start. And if you don't start, like you're never gonna be able to prove them wrong. And they're right to a certain extent. It's like you need to know where to start. You don't want to start on a rocky road. You want to start where an actual house, and that's where society got fucked up. But anyway, moving on to, so that was the devil segment of this video. The devil segment of this video was specifically made for people to know that I was in denial, even though I had tons of reparations from rappers, even though I was a good person. Society did not give a fuck about how good I was, because being good wasn't good enough. Literally, I had an argument with the housekeeper. I was watching Fairy Godparents because I don't care about the street life anymore, and I was enjoying it like more than ever because I was under no peer pressure. He's like, "Oh, aren't you too old to be watching cartoons?" And so I'm the meme king on Instagram. I'm famous for making A&Bs. I'm like, get with the times. Everybody likes cartoons nowadays. Literally roasting the fuck out of her on Instagram. In real life, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, Chris Brown has his own clothing line. Get the fuck out of here. And she's all like, "Oh, but that's for the kids. It's not for the adults." I'm like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Oh, case closed. Sorry, society is still got back up her statement. Even though Chris Brown has more followers, what are cartoons on paper? Childish. Sorry. No fucking way around it." So here's what happened. So sophomore year of high school comes along where I get kicked out of the group home due to a bed bug incident. So I get kicked out for a reason that wasn't my fault. So God gave me the chance to live back with my mom, and here's what happened. I learned everything from the fucking group home, and I literally, instead of me flying it off like fucking Anti does with his so-called resources, what I did was this. I remained humble. I went along with the idiot pen. I admitted that I was wrong. I admitted that getting a relationship with a good person is better than a person that's gonna manipulate you. And I learned all that shit at the group home, and so I accepted that, and so that's when I actually started dating. So I took my life seriously from then on. So here's what's going on. So I had a couple of jobs, and here's what happened. So basically, my mom tried to hit me with the toxic masculinity shit, because what happened was this. So sophomore year was the devil's philosophy of shoving it down my throat that when the going gets tough, you gotta get tougher. And literally, so here's what happens. At BJ's, I was doing multiple occupations. First, he just had me being a dishwasher, and then I guess I wasn't making the dishes fast enough, but I was the only one there when there are usually multiple people, at least two, helping them out. And literally, so here's what happened. So he had me switch up my schedule, and so here's what happened. The first thing that happens when I get this dishwashing job at BJ's is some girl offers me to get in a relationship. She shook my hand and she told me her name, and guys are like, this is when Shield Hero came out too, and literally, so I'm watching Shield Hero and I'm going to my job, and I literally get at this girl. So the devil is in my head saying, well, there goes your relationship right there. You complain that woman set you up, she's giving you street smart validation. You know you can get a relationship with that girl, and so I don't take the advantage. This is something that really like criteriizes my mind. And after group home, literally, I'm used to the air route, analytical battles, wordplay, all this shit, instead of literally just the lovey-dovey hip-hop shit that's literally at 3rd grade level. Literally, so, and that's why I didn't fuck with those girls, and I knew street code back then. So here's one thing. So yes, I will be including Arturo in this video. So after I rejected her offer for a relationship, it's because I didn't trust her either way. I'm sorry, I kept it out the void, because even though I looked at it like this, even if I were a guy stay relationship, what the devil told me, even God backed up the statement, but the God backed up the statement because, you know, Eris knows it's the truth, but he knows it's going to lead to something. The end result is going to be bad at all corners, even though in the beginning it won't be bad, but it will be bad if you keep it up. So here's what happened. So the girl was slightly fine, and it was literally lower your standards, and literally, but it was a better lower your standards. She was a good looking girl. She was better looking than Jenny and she was just a normal Mexican girl. But here's what's gonna happen. I was gonna get into normal dates with her. I was gonna do this and that, but it was gonna escalate to literally either making the boss jealous, either making my coworkers jealous, or literally because I was gonna pay my cards right. She was there to keep me content, so I would get into a relationship so they could finally say, stop tripping, when I can't set you up, when God knows it's going to lead to that. So I stayed away from it completely. And so what gave me the double confirmation is after I declined her offer for a relationship, here's what really happened. So this girl, Lily, this is a side conversation I had with Arturo. Literally, he's like, bruh, there's some fat ass girls at my job, literally. Like their asses are sides of 2 tires on a Jeep. and Arturo had a job at Tesla. So literally, here's what happened. So these girls were up to me and they offered me a job at Tesla. And literally, so I put two and two together. And literally, she didn't know I had a friend named Arturo that already told me the story. And I knew what I was going to lead to. See what I'd be to be obsessed with the asses, so I would finally get fired for that reason. And I'm like, fuck that. And so what they did, as soon as I quit my job, after I had all these different occupations, so here's what happened is I quit my job similar to how I quit the Lucky's job after I got done watching Dragon Ball Super Broly. And I had to come home to that shitty job again. And you know what? I could not. I was having the best time of my life and this and that, literally watching the greatest anime film of all time. So my personal opinion is, all that momentum going back to the shitty job with my abusive boss, literally giving me those speeches that don't work, saying, Erich, you gotta push yourself and this and that. Literally, when I realized that a boss isn't literally allowed for you to do that, and I quit that day without any warning. So I was supposed to stay the 2 weeks notice, but I didn't stay the 2 weeks notice. I just left right then and there. And literally, I'm like, I can't do this shit. I can't, like, literally, the momentum, the flow, the everything. I can't let this high literally get dragged down by this shitty job. So I came home to my mom, and my mom's like, you give up too easily. And on paper, that is true, because I didn't pass the probation period. The devil was in my head, because at the job, it was like this. So there was this girl who had a bun, and so I tried testing it out. And so at the group home, God told me that was the whole point of innuendos, is for literally to ask sex in a civil way to a point where it doesn't get you in trouble. So I told this girl, like, hey, nice bun. But I didn't even think she had a rump, and she knows she didn't have a rump like that. So I looked at her and I told her, hey, nice bun. She's like, excuse me? And so I'm like, your hair. And literally, so like what happened was the boss then drove me to the side because he couldn't, because technically I said it in a way where she couldn't get fitted, and I double corrected it before the boss told me. I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, are you okay? So literally, so here's what happened is I double confirmed it. So literally, at the time, I was fooling no one. I was scared shitless because, yes, the game stepped up, because the girls that were at my other dishwashing job were young, even though they're seniors in high school. These other girls, way more experienced and way more devious than that, with way fatter asses, with way more temptation, and I got out before it could be detrimental. And so the devil was in my head, and so society backed out the statement, oh, when the going got tough, you didn't get tougher. And so what they did was they offered me a job at Safeway, because my family knew me for years on top of years, and so they know how I think. They know when I'm under a lot of pressure, I do good, but they know when they do shit here and there, I can't keep up. And so literally what happened was this, is I got this job at Safeway where I was a courtesy clerk, but the greatest thing about this job was it was connected to my gym membership. So me at the group home, being with the devil, even though I had the foundation of God, I was using the devil's techniques of faking it and making what it was. Is at the group home, I would make shirts that I couldn't sell because I literally just had it screen printed and it wasn't official. So all the people were kind of laughing at me, but they couldn't laugh at me because of all the validation. The validation stopped it from being corny, and my designs were really fucking sick. But the whole point is I didn't go to school for graphic and design, therefore I could not sell my products properly, nor did I put in the work to get business cards, nor did this and that. And plus, I was buying more than I was selling. I was getting more exposure than I had. No, I had more exposure than production, and that was flat out the truth. Society kept on combating the understanding of my situation with the fact that it was unprofessional. Sorry, it was unprofessional, this, that. So what helped me get everything concrete, literally, with no interruptions for the devil, no interruptions for society, is I got this thing you call a gym membership. And it helped me do everything. It helped me with rapping. It helped me with everything. So I was very analytical, always very smart. But when I realized the power of working out, it made me do everything I could do tenfold. And I wasn't bullshitting myself back when I was at the chamber, literally. So here's what happened is I got a gym membership, and it was all working up to family. So family is literally God versus the devil. The 1 in 18, I felt like I was in heaven because I earned everything. I got that job. I literally put in the work, and literally that's when I was employed, was when I was at the first family that was at 2018, and when I was unemployed, where I got fired at Safeway, was when I went to FanMade 2019. So everybody had the ammo to say that, oh boy, you got what you wanted and you dipped out instead of gaining the full experience. But what was really truly tremendous about everything that really kept me humble or really kept me on edge was that motherfucking gym membership. I love that gym. I love everything. And so the gym literally let me know that they were wrong, because when I had access to that is when I literally stopped fucking around. What I did was I did a treadmill and I got everything. So the first thing I went is I tried to tell them I'm done with this toxic masculinity bullshit. I'm gonna learn how to backflip. I'm gonna learn how to do everything so I will never be embarrassed in the dance floor ever again. So that was literally the best part. I got better at rapping. I got better at making jokes. I started saying shit that I could never say before because I couldn't connect the jokes faster. Because literally what happens when you start working out is not only do you think twice as fast with composure. So I gained a core to the point where my six-pack was always definite, to a point where it can't take it away from me, because my six-pack was flaky after group home. Some days I had six-packs and other days I was fat. Due to how much I was eating, now it doesn't matter. I will always have that six-pack because of how much work I put in at the gym. Being able to lift a whole plate, doing all this shit, doing my 100 series at the gym while doing the treadmill was literally so horrendous, and I loved it. I loved every single part of it. I literally went so fucking crazy at the gym. And that made me so fucking proud of myself. It got to a point when I started playing basketball. And so here's what happened when I was an anime fan. I started accepting the position I was in society, and society couldn't tell me wrong because I already admitted I was wrong, and society couldn't do shit. So at the gym membership, I became one of the strongest basketball players in terms of defense only, and I was able to mix martial arts with basketball skills because I'm a defensive fighter, and they can tell that when I play basketball. I don't play to shoot, I play to help people win. So I was a team player, and when I was at the basketball court in the gym, literally what happened was this: I didn't know how to shoot, I didn't know how to do this and that, but I knew how to pass and I knew how to defend. So what happened was they kept on tossing the ball at the end, and I literally helped the winning rebound, and I made the best play at the gym. I didn't know how to do everything. They were shooting, they were literally faking, they were juking, they were doing all that, but I didn't pretend I was something I wasn't. I stuck with my anime and straight up did martial arts at the basketball court. Nobody could destroy my defense. My defense was impeccable, imperishable, and unstoppable. I admit I wasn't the best here. I admit I wasn't coordinated. I admit I wasn't playing sports growing up, so fuck it. I did what I knew how to do best. And then I learned how to shoot. And then it came to other people helping me. Like this girl literally made sure that I hit the ball 10 times within the basket. And she didn't stop until I mastered the art of shooting. And literally, that was crazy. And at the gym, I surpassed my limits. Like when I started off going 6 miles an hour on the treadmill. Then I went from 6 to 8 miles an hour, and I barely tapped the 9. And the 9 I had to quit at a certain time. And so that's where I got true character. So it literally went from me saying, go shove a full metal dildo up your ass. Literally saying all this nerd shit that's not literally hitting hard, because it's not the fact that my jokes aren't funny. It's because they're coming out of a desperate mouth that isn't confident. I was always funny when I was in high school, but I wasn't concrete. The gym membership helps you get everything concrete. You ever wonder how somebody is able to keep character 24/7 in high school? That comes from working out. It went from suck my left testicle to that's what happens when your nuts are as big as hot air balloons. I would have never have gotten that big of a roast from Lisa if I didn't start working out. If I literally did not start working out, I wouldn't have gone away with that sleazeball. I'm sorry, but out plain and simple. Working out improved my game tremendously, because not only am I able to be just as creative, I'm able to say it with swagger, I'm able to say it with confidence, I'm able to say it with meaning. And that comes from effort, and that comes from putting in work into yourself to become the person you want to be. And guess what? Because I went to the gym is when I was able to b-boy. I was able to b-boy a little bit when I was young, but I had the excuse that, yo, you weigh under 100 pounds. You're a little kid that literally weighs 90 pounds. Of course you can spit on your head. It went from that to me literally doing 360s in the air when I was Todoroki. So God is there. So God is me after I get my gym membership, after I prove those security guards were on, after I go through this shit with Damo, where I realize that girls aren't worth it, but you have to go there in order for them to be worth it. Because if you don't have a struggle, it's not going to be worth it. Because I was at the time where I needed to protect a family. And so not only did gym membership make that concrete that nobody can fuck with me, I'm the ultimate dad, because of what the fuck I was lifting at the gym, and made me twice aware of how I was standing in society, literally. The gym helped me to a point where you can't gaslight anymore, because I put in the work, because I went through the pain. I did my push-ups, I did my sit-ups to a point where it's always gonna stay there, to a point where it's not being flaky. If you have something and then you lose it, that means you didn't put in the work to get it. Like the devil was in my head back when I was in the ARL. When Travis did stuff that I couldn't do. It was true that I could beat Travis in terms of punchline, but it wasn't true because I wasn't able to beat him at what they're criticizing me about. Flow and delivery. It got in my head a whole lot of times, literally. So the devil got in my head saying, you have to want it. Because what I should have done is when they told me that your flow is whack, everything's bad, you were twice as good the first season, the second season, you lost motivation, is literally when the devil's like, you need to do what Travis did and practice your bars over and over again. Start freestyling everything. The shit that I do now, all the way back then when I thought it mattered. But that was the whole point. You have to want it. And the real reason why it wasn't worth it was because of what they sacrificed to get that. So I'm like, okay, devil, you try to pull this shit, you try to say that I'm drawing in the past even though the old music is better than the new music? Fuck out of here. So in conclusion, I can freestyle now and nobody in the ARL can fucking see me, and they're trash of a league and they were never as good, and I literally transform as a person to like, they ain't shit. So remember, the devil is me when I first got into the group home, and God is me now after. There's no reason for me to have a job now that MGTOW exists. There's no reason for you to criticize me. So in conclusion, the devil will lose because he will start something and not finish it, and then he will lose what he had. And God is willing to work so hard that he will become so strong to where he will protect it. The devil will have holes because literally, the devil works like this. He'll try to pick on somebody who he has shit that he can cap on, like me at the group home, and literally. But when the devil is put in a situation where he's facing against somebody who works for God, so this is the last example I made for this video. When I was at my older brother's house that was abusive, here's what happened. So I literally was on the defensive the entire time. This is the best example of the video. This is literally on the outside, my brother has everything, but on the inside, he knows it's not true. He had the job, he had the son, he had everything that I literally should have on paper, but because he knows the full situation, he's full of shit is why he gets those things. And literally, so here's what happens. He's not fooling a single girl. The chemistry I have with our female neighbors is way better. He's desperate to give her a hug and shit like that. And literally, here's what the fuck happens. He flashes on me one day, and I take the hit. And literally, after all this shit that I was talking to him, like, I'm not scared of you, I take the hit and I let him beat me. So literally, he's beating my ass on paper. He's choking me. He's putting me up against the wall. And literally, so before all that happens, I'm like, keep beating me up. Beat me up. That's what I want you to do. So what happened is he stopped beating me up and he started yelling to my other brother, and I recorded him yelling, so I recorded the abuse, and that gave me the ticket out of there because I realized that it's more to life than just winning, and that's where God always gets the devil. The devil owns a world that doesn't matter, and the God has the world and the whole world above. And that is why the devil will never beat God. So my brother had all this crazy shit. My brother went everything to try to bring me down, try to fool my perspective. I'm like, I know you're not getting pussy. So it didn't matter what the fuck he was doing. He put me up against the wall, literally. And so he pinned me back down. I'm like, why would you do that shit in front of the neighbors? My words were so powerful that they outdid his actions, so it didn't matter what the fuck the brother said, he could not fool me. And there was this one time where he tried to fool me because he knew he couldn't see me with the fist while I was doing dishes because I was trying to be a nice person. And so many people say, why you mess with God? God doesn't doesn't give you shit even though you're being a nice person. It's because I had the foundation good. It's because I took the hit, and why he's not willing to take the hit is why I wanted he didn't. I was able to get out of his house because I recorded the abuse instead of participating in the fight. So he did all that shit, and I outsmarted him instead of outbrowned him. So it got to the point where he turned the dishwasher on when my hands was knuckles deep, and I stopped the dishwasher literally with my bare hands, and he's like, what the fuck, literally? He's like, oh, I didn't know your hand was in there. I'm like, dude, literally, this is the first time where I'm outsmarting everyone. I'm counting on him in every situation. I'm twice as cold as him. My wardrobe is twice as good as him. My mouthpiece is twice as good as him. But I'm not the one with the job. I'm not the one with everything. So he has to bear it outside, but on the inside, he knows he is shit. And that's what happened when God faces the devil. So when it really got time to a point where I knew being good wasn't anything, when I had every single moment, so this is what you happen. You have to be on the defenses the whole fucking time until it gets to the point where you can't be nice anymore, where you have to show your side of the devil that you learned from God. And so I looked my brother in the eye when I was trying to eat so I could fall asleep. So I literally made a whole bunch of shit on the stove. He's like, Eris, put that shit away. So I looked at him, and I looked at him in the eye, and he backed off. I schooled him in rapping, I schooled him in dancing, I schooled him in everything. So all that shit, when he pinned me up against the wall, where he didn't see with the fist, was no more than him playing games. So when it got to a point where I was serious, where he couldn't run away, where I looked him in the eye, he backed off. And that's what happens when the devil faces God. Remember, there's a lot of holes in that situation. I told him to beat me up. I told him to keep going. I got Wawa out of the situation because he was faking and I wasn't. I took it like a man, and he kept on running away from his problem like a little boy. So when I faced him head on, we all know that you and me are black. And so what my mom was trying to get me to do was, my mom was trying to be like, oh, just call the police, knowing damn well that if it's a black on black situation in society, the police aren't going to take none of our sides. So what I did was I let my fan base do the talking. I recorded the abuse, and my fan base warned other people immediately what happened. So I played my cards right because I used his gaslighting against him. You think I don't have a job? You don't think I have this and that? I deserve what you have. You have it because you're a bitch. Motherfucker spat in my face where he was trying to intimidate me. That's how I know you're full of shit. All those holes. But on the outside, oh, he left a couple of scars on me. Those scars are on my neck, and that's the equivalent to a cat scratch. That's what you call a pussy. And so it got to a point where my brother admitted that he was wrong, and my brother gave me something. So there's this guy that literally trained both of my brothers when my dad left, who had the same eyes as me, who my dad sent in order to clown on Uncle Jay, saying that you think my dad ain't shit. He's friends with this guy named Sterling. So Sterling has green eyes like me, and he's just as smart as me, and he used to be the stepdad of my two older brothers. And so literally, he sent me a present after all that. He admitted that he was wrong, and so he sent me a present of some alcohol, and he called me Sterling. And the street joke is this: in order to beat you, I'll have to get you drunk. He admitted right then and there that I was his dad, and he was wrong. Because I'm the one with the real family. I'm the one who puts in the real work. You guys were only the school jocks in high school, where I literally had to struggle at the time where high school didn't matter. That's why I didn't have a car. I struggled on my own. I walked to get those muscles, and I had the consistent six-pack from going to the gym. That gym membership plus being homeless made me forever in character. Let me know, hey yo, girls ain't worth it. I ain't never diving into that realm again. I ain't never being a dumb hood nigga again. I ain't never giving them the opportunity again. So it got to a point where society tried to back me up. Literally, oh ho ho, you're a fucking predator. Oh, this is that. I would take you in jail. I'm like, okay, you can take me in jail. Because in that case, I get to fight someone. I get to face my problems head on. And I think like this: if you back me up in a situation again where you have the power and I don't, here's what's gonna happen. It's either you're gonna fuck me or I'm gonna fuck you. And trust me, you're not gonna win that fight. Remember, the group home me still had a lot to hide, where literally the current me now has nothing to hide because I proved everybody wrong. I did the struggles. I am what they pretend to be, 100%, no fucking holes within. It is because People want to drag on my life is why I got the last laugh. I can die right now and you guys will forever be in torment trying to kill somebody who everybody likes. And that is God versus the devil. The devil is me at the group home thinking I'm all this hot shit when I wasn't shit in high school, and God is me letting you know like, hey, you try to say high school never ends, it's gonna backfire on you. Now that I'm a grown man, I put you on daycare.